Intimacy and sexuality are a gift from God. I'm David Bridgman, and this is Worship in 360. The internet lit up about the Super Bowl halftime show. I'm not sure what people thought the show would be like. But come on, how did you think J-Lo and Shakira would perform? So if you're counting on the Super Bowl halftime show to teach and reinforce God's values about sex, well, here's one of the things I believe. You and I are created as sexual beings in the image of God. Sexuality has the power to create or to destroy. History, songs, poems, books, marketing bombard us with sexual images. I'm teaching a series of messages called Lose It for Life. You know, losing those spiritual and relational weights that are holding us back. Today, we're looking at losing the weight of lust with the counterbalance of purity. Now, lust is the distortion of God's beautiful, good gift of sexuality. And the Bible has a number of flawed characters. Let's consider King David. We read a portion of his story in 2 Samuel chapter 11, where King David is bored. He's walking on the roof of his palace. He looks and he notices a beautiful woman. Sexuality trips us up when lust of the eyes becomes lust of the flesh. Let's read verse 2. As King David looked out over the city, he noticed. The look, the noticing. It's an on-ramp to a sexual train wreck because lust is a slippery slope when left unchecked. A look at an attractive person that lingers and longs. A glance, a wink that stares, a click on an internet site that you cannot unsee. Sexuality trips us up when lust blows through the stop signs. Look at verse 3. King David sent someone to find out who she was, and the response came back, she is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite. There should have been warning bells going off. Hands off, David. She's in a covenant relationship with one of your trusted officials on the front lines. But lust pushes down the warning signals and becomes impulsive. Lust is a slippery slope when left unchecked, emails and texts that cross the line. Drinks and meals that are too intimate, a business trip without boundaries. So what's the counterbalance to this weight of lust? Well, it's the virtue of purity. And let me offer two examples of action steps from the Bible that builds purity. One is to realize. Realize when you are in a vulnerable season of life. You're in a crisis. You made a big mistake. You're fatigued. You're struggling with money and marriage and the internet, alcohol, or pills. And then we start filling up on spiritual and relational junk food. That's why the Apostle Paul writes to his son in the faith, Timothy, in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 21. If you keep yourself pure, you will be ready for the master to use you for every good work. Let's realize it's time to get back into reading the Bible, into worship, into serving. Here's a second action step, remove. Remove yourself from certain situations. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 22 reads, run from anything that stimulates youthful lusts. Now, fleeing takes guts and a longer view of life and consequences. So shut off those private internet surfing sites. Establish boundaries in your work relationships. Know there are places and friendships you need to be cautious with. I want to remind you today that the God who created you has designed you for a rich and full life in healthy and holy relationships. So let's live a life of integrity, and let's check in right here next week.